The night was colder than anyone could remember. The wind screamed across the frozen wasteland like a living beast, tearing at the wooden huts of the small village. Snow covered everything, roofs, paths, and even the sleeping bodies of those who hadn't survived the storm. Inside one of the huts, a woman named Lyra sat near a dying fire. Her hands trembled as she held her daughter Mina, who was wrapped in thin blankets. The child's skin had turned pale, her lips blue. Each breath came out as a small puff of white air, weak, fading. Lyra whispered softly, "Hold on, my little star. Just a little longer." But she knew the truth. There was no food left, no warmth, no hope. The storm outside had cut off all paths to the southern colonies. Even the hunters had stopped returning. The door creaked as old Dren, the village elder, stepped inside. His gray beard was frozen with ice. "Lyra," he said slowly, "you must not go out tonight. The northern lights are rising. The traders are coming." Lyra looked up. "The traders?" she asked, her voice weak. "Do they still come in weather like this?" Dren's eyes darkened. "They always come when despair is greatest. They offer warmth, food, even life. But what they take in return," he paused, looking at Mina, "no mother should ever give." Lyra's heart pounded. She had heard the stories. Strange beings who arrived in glowing ships offering salvation in exchange for something precious. No one knew where they came from or what they truly were. Some said they were spirits. Others called them thieves of souls. That night, when the sky above turned green and blue with shimmering lights, Lyra made her choice. She pressed her cracked lips against Mina's forehead and whispered, "I will save you no matter what it costs." She wrapped Mina in her arms, pushed open the creaking door, and stepped into the storm. The wind hit her face like knives. Snow swirled so thickly that she could barely see her own hands. Each step forward was a battle. The world outside was nothing but white, endless, cruel, and silent. Somewhere in the distance she heard the low hum of engines. The traders had come. She followed the sound, clutching Mina close. Her legs ached, her breath turned sharp and painful. But she didn't stop. "Just a little more," she whispered again and again, as if saying it could keep them alive. Finally, through the storm, Lyra saw it, a glow rising from the frozen plain. The snow around it melted slightly, turning into mist. Shapes moved in the light, tall figures with long limbs and silver skin that shimmered like ice. One of them turned toward her. Its eyes glowed a soft blue like cold fire. When it spoke, its voice echoed inside her head rather than in her ears. "Human woman," it said. "You seek help?" Lyra's heart pounded. She stepped closer, her boots sinking into the snow. "My daughter," she said, voice shaking. "She's dying. Please, help her." The figure tilted its head. Another one, shorter but broader, opened a metal case. Inside were glowing capsules, each one pulsing with warmth. The heat touched her skin even from a distance. "We can save her," said the tall one. "But there is a price." Lyra hesitated. "What price?" The being extended its silver hand toward Mina. "Her." Lyra's breath caught. She stumbled backward, clutching Mina tighter. "No," she whispered. "You can't." But then Mina gave a small, weak cry. Her tiny body trembled in Lyra's arms. The sound tore through Lyra's heart. She looked at the capsules again. Food, warmth, life. The things her child needed. She fell to her knees in the snow, tears freezing on her cheeks. "Will she live?" she asked. "Yes," said the alien calmly. "She will live. She will not suffer. You have my word." Lyra looked at her daughter one last time. Mina's eyelids fluttered. Her breath was faint. "Forgive me," Lyra whispered, her voice breaking. She kissed Mina's forehead, then slowly placed her in the alien's glowing arms. As soon as she let go, a beam of light shot upward, and the aliens began to ascend. Lyra screamed, reaching out, but the storm swallowed her voice. The ship rose higher, vanishing into the sky, leaving only the whisper of the wind and the faint hum of engines. Lyra fell to the ground, sobbing. She didn't know how long she lay there, minutes, maybe hours. The world had gone silent again. Then something flickered in the snow beside her. A small metal object glowing faintly. She picked it up with trembling hands. It was smooth and warm with strange markings on its surface. When she pressed it, a soft human voice came from it. Distress signal detected. Sending coordinates to human command. Lyra froze. Human. she whispered. There are humans out there. The device blinked again, once, twice, then stayed lit. Somewhere above, beyond the frozen clouds, someone had heard her daughter's cry. Lyra pulled the device close to her chest and looked toward the sky where the alien ship had vanished. Please, she whispered, bring her back. The storm raged on, but this time the wind carried something new, not despair, but a faint trace of hope. The morning after the storm was silent. Not peaceful, just empty. The snow stretched like an endless white ocean under a pale sun. Every sound was swallowed by the cold. Lyra sat in the snow where she had fallen the night before. Her hands were numb, her body weak, but she didn't move. Her eyes were fixed on the empty sky where the glowing ship had vanished with her daughter. The only thing left was that small, blinking device, the one that had spoken in a human voice. She held it close, her breath fogging the screen. If you're real, she whispered, if there are humans out there, find her, please. The device blinked once, then stopped. No sound, no light, just silence. Lyra's heart sank again. She buried it in her coat, stood up, and began walking back toward the village, her legs trembling with every step. When she reached her home, the other villagers gathered around her. Their eyes were full of fear and curiosity. Old Dren stepped forward. You went to them, he said quietly. Did they come? Lyra nodded slowly. They came, she whispered. And they took her, a woman gasped. Another covered her mouth. You gave them your child? Someone whispered. I didn't give her, Lyra said, her voice breaking. I traded her life for another chance. Old Dren shook his head sadly. There is no trade with such beings. Only loss. Lyra looked down. She wanted to scream, to fight, to blame someone, but there was no one left to blame. She had made the choice. She had done what any mother would do to save her child. But in the cold silence that followed, something strange happened. The sky above shimmered again, but not with the same soft light from before. This time a thin red line cut across the clouds, burning like fire. The ground trembled. Snow fell from rooftops. Then a sharp sound filled the air, like a deep metallic hum. Everyone looked up. From the clouds a second ship appeared. Sleek, black, and different. Not glowing, not silent. This one roared with power. Lyra stumbled backward, eyes wide. They're back, someone shouted. But Lyra knew it wasn't the same. The first ship had come quietly. This one came like a storm. The ship landed on the far edge of the village, melting the snow beneath it. The door opened and 3 figures stepped out. They looked human, at least partly. Their armor shone under the pale light, but their faces were hidden behind glass helmets. One of them raised a hand. Do not be afraid, a voice called, echoing across the snow. We are here to investigate a distress signal. Lyra's heart jumped. The device, she whispered. She ran forward, ignoring the cries behind her. When she reached them, one of the figures knelt down. Are you the one who activated the beacon? He asked, his voice calm but strong. Yes, Lyra said, breathing hard. They took my daughter. The traitors. They came from the north in the storm. The soldier glanced at his wrist screen. Coordinates match the last alien landing pattern, he said to the others. Hybrid energy readings, human and unknown origin. Then he looked back at Lyra. My name is Ryan Hale, captain of the Atlas 9. We received your signal from orbit. Lyra's eyes widened. You're human? Ryan nodded. From the Terran frontier. We've been tracking alien trade routes for months. You're not the first village they visited. Lyra's hope flickered again. Then you can find her? Ryan's face softened. We'll do everything we can. The soldiers followed Lyra to the place where the traitors had appeared. The snow was still melted in strange circles, as if the ground had been burned by invisible fire. Ryan crouched, scanning the ice. Energy traces, he muttered. Same tech as before, they're harvesting something. Biological. He stood up and turned to Lyra. Did they say anything to you? Anything about why they wanted your daughter? Lyra's throat tightened. They said the world was dying, that she would help them survive. Ryan exchanged a worried look with his team. That's not good, he said. If they're using living beings as energy sources, your daughter isn't safe. Lyra's legs went weak. Then we have to go, she said desperately. Now, Ryan hesitated. The northern region is unstable. The storms there can tear a ship apart. Lyra grabbed his arm. You don't understand. She's all I have, please. Ryan looked at her. This fragile woman standing in a wasteland, trembling but refusing to give up. There was something in her eyes that reminded him of Earth, of the people who used to fight for what mattered even when everything seemed lost. He nodded slowly. All right, we go north. They prepared the ship within the hour. The villagers watched silently as the engines roared to life. Lyra sat near the window, clutching a small blanket, the last thing Mina had touched. As Atlas 9 lifted into the air, the frozen landscape stretched beneath them like a white desert. Ryan adjusted the scanners, tracing the faint alien energy trail. Signal's weak, but still there, he said. They didn't go far. Lyra looked out at the clouds. Somewhere beyond them, her daughter was still alive. She could feel it, a strange pull like a whisper in her heart. Ryan noticed her staring and said quietly, "We'll find her." "I promise," Lyra turned to him. "You don't know what these creatures are." Ryan gave a small smile. "Doesn't matter. I've faced worse than monsters." Outside, the wind howled again. The ship flew into the heart of the storm, toward the north, toward danger, and toward a truth neither of them was ready to face. The storm followed them like a living creature. Dark clouds pressed against the small ship, lightning flashing across the frozen horizon. Inside the Atlas 9, alarms blinked red while the engines hummed, fighting against the freezing wind. Captain Ryan Hale sat in the pilot seat, hands steady on the controls. His face was calm, but his eyes told a different story. Sharp, focused, and ready for anything. He had flown through asteroid fields, escaped pirate ambushes, and landed on worlds that no human had ever seen. But this place, this frozen wasteland, felt different. It felt alive. Behind him sat Lyra, wrapped in a thick blanket, staring at the small blanket she carried, the one that still smelled faintly of her daughter. Her lips moved silently as if she was praying. Ryan glanced back. "You holding up?" She nodded weakly. "The wind. It sounds like voices." Ryan checked his sensors. "That's the ice echoing. This planet's magnetic field distorts sound, makes it feel like it's whispering." But as he said that, even he heard it. A faint whisper through the static. "Mina." He froze. "And did you hear that?" Lyra's eyes widened. "It's her," she whispered. "My daughter. She's calling me." Ryan frowned, turning up the signal receiver. A faint energy pulse flickered on the radar, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. "That's impossible," he muttered. "It's a biosignal, but it's being transmitted." He looked at Lyra. "She's alive." They followed the signal across the wasteland. The mountains rose like jagged teeth, their peaks hidden behind swirling snow. As the ship flew lower, strange shapes appeared beneath the ice, old ruins buried deep. Ryan switched on the scanners. These structures, they're ancient. Pre-war design. Not alien, human. Lyra's eyes widened. Human, but no one has lived here for hundreds of years. Ryan stared at the readings. That's what makes it strange. These aren't just ruins. They're broadcasting the same code the beacon sent, the same one I picked up in orbit. He slowed the ship. Something down there is using human technology, but someone else has twisted it. The ship landed on a cracked plateau. The air outside was sharp and heavy, like breathing frost. As the ramp lowered, the snowstorm hit them full force. Ryan's visor adjusted to the glare while Lyra pulled her hood tight. They stepped into the wasteland, the sound of their boots crunching in the snow echoing into the distance. The signal grew stronger. Each pulse was faster, louder, almost like it was guiding them. After an hour of walking, they found it. A tall tower half buried in the ice, glowing with blue veins of energy. It looked like metal, but it pulsed like something alive. At the base, strange alien markings mixed with faded human letters. Station Echo 7, Ryan wiped off the ice. "This was one of ours," he said quietly. "An outpost from the early frontier days." But how did the aliens get it working again? Before Lyra could answer, a sudden mechanical voice echoed from the tower. "Unauthorized presence detected. Identify." Ryan raised his scanner. "Atlas 9, Captain Ryan Hale, Terran Fleet. We received a distress signal from this region." The voice paused. Then, to their shock, it replied in perfect human speech. "Signal origin. Child subject. Designation Mina." Lyra gasped. "Mina, she's here." Ryan stepped closer. "Where is she?" The tower's lights flickered. A holographic image appeared. a faint, blurry vision of a small chamber under the ice. Inside it, a pod glowed softly and a child's shadow lay within. Lyra fell to her knees, tears freezing on her cheeks. She's alive. Ryan stared at the image, but his instincts screamed danger. That's a containment pod, he said. They're using her to power something. The hologram flickered again, and suddenly the image changed, showing something deeper beneath the ice. A machine, huge, sleeping. Ryan stepped back. They're feeding her energy into the core of that thing. It's not just a base. It's a reactor. Before they could react, the ground trembled. The ice cracked open nearby, and 3 tall figures rose from the fissure, the traders. Their silver bodies glowed faintly in the blue light. Lyra's scream was swallowed by the wind. One of them raised a long, staff-like weapon. You should not have returned, human, it said in that cold, echoing tone. Ryan stepped forward, blaster ready. You're using a child to power your machine. That ends now. The alien tilted its head. You misunderstand. This world is dying. Its core is frozen. Without energy, it will collapse, and every life here will vanish. Ryan glared. Then why take her? The alien's glowing eyes blinked once. Because only human energy connects to the old machines. You built them long ago. Ryan froze. The words hit him like a punch. You're saying humans made this? The alien nodded slowly. Before your kind abandoned the stars, they left their creations sleeping in the ice. We only continued what they began. Lyra's voice cracked. Then give her back. She's just a child. The alien's voice softened slightly. She carries the spark of your kind, the only flame that can wake the core. If she stops, everything stops. Ryan raised his weapon. Then we'll find another way. The alien's silver eyes turned cold again. There is no other way. The ground trembled harder. A deep rumble came from below. The reactor was awakening. Ryan grabbed Lyra's arm. Back to the ship, now. They ran through the storm as the ice began to split behind them. Blue light shot through the cracks, chasing them like fire. The Atlas 9 roared to life just as they jumped aboard. Ryan pulled the controls, lifting the ship into the air as a massive beam of light erupted from the glacier below. Through the window, Lyra saw the tower rising higher, pulsing like a heart. What are they doing? She cried. Ryan's jaw tightened. They're starting something they can't control. The ship climbed higher, shaking violently. Ryan switched on the scanners. The signal from Mina was still there, faint but alive. He locked onto it. She's deep under the ice now, he said. But I've got her signal. We're not losing her again. Lyra looked out at the storm, her eyes burning with new fire. Then we go after her. Ryan nodded. Yeah, we go underground. The ship turned toward the north once more and into the heart of the frozen wasteland, where ancient human secrets waited beneath alien hands. The storm had passed, but silence was worse. Outside, the frozen world stretched endlessly, white plains and shattered peaks under a pale blue sky. Inside the Atlas 9, the air was thick with tension. The engines hummed quietly while snow dust slid across the hull like whispers. Captain Ryan Hale stood near the control panel, staring at the signal tracker. The small blinking dot marked one thing, Mina's life. It was still there, deep under the ice, weak but alive. Behind him, Lyra sat quietly, holding the thin blanket in her hands. Her eyes looked empty, yet somewhere deep inside them burned a light made of love and guilt. Ryan broke the silence. The signal's stable now, he said. It's moving. Very slowly. Either they're transferring her to another site or... He stopped himself. Lyra's voice was soft but steady. Or she's still trapped in that machine. Ryan turned toward her. We'll get her out. Lyra met his eyes. Why are you helping me? Ryan paused, then said simply, because humans don't walk away when someone's in pain. Not out here. Not anywhere. His words hung in the air like a promise. They prepared for descent. The Atlas 9 wasn't made for underground travel, but Ryan had something few people had. An explorer's courage and a habit of breaking rules. He loaded portable lights, plasma cutters, and oxygen canisters. Lyra insisted on coming with him. She's my daughter, she said firmly. If she's suffering, I'll feel it. I'll find her before any scanner does. Ryan tried to argue, but there was no point. Her resolve was unshakable, like the ice they were about to face. Minutes later, they stood on the frozen plain again, the wind brushing across their suits. The scanners showed a narrow crevasse ahead, glowing faintly from below. That's our door. Ryan said. They descended slowly, ropes cutting through the frost, lights bouncing off the glimmering walls. The ice looked alive, shifting, whispering, almost breathing. Lyra glanced around nervously. "Do you hear that?" Ryan nodded. "Yeah, it's resonance. The ice carries sound." But he stopped. The sound wasn't just the wind, it was a faint humming like a lullaby. And it was human. Lyra froze. "That song. I used to sing that to Mina." Ryan's face hardened. "Then they're playing it on purpose." At the bottom of the crevasse they found an opening, a tunnel of pure ice leading deeper into the planet. Strange metal veins ran along the walls, pulsing faintly. "These conduits are old," Ryan said. "Human tech, definitely. But someone's reactivated them." They followed the trail for what felt like hours. The deeper they went, the warmer it became. The air shimmered faintly, filled with a soft blue mist. Then they reached a massive door, ancient, half-buried, with alien symbols carved over Old English letters that read, "Project Haven." Ryan stepped closer. "This isn't just an alien base," he whispered. This was a human facility. Lyra touched the metal. It was warm, pulsing like a heartbeat. Why would humans build something here? Ryan sighed. "Because we always do. We go where no one should, trying to save worlds even when we can't save ourselves." He connected his wrist scanner to the door's console. The system flickered, then a voice spoke, soft, distorted, and undeniably human. "Welcome, Captain Ryan Hale. Access recognized." Ryan froze. "What the?" Lyra stared at him. "It knows you." He shook his head. "Impossible. This place is centuries old." But the door slid open, groaning like something ancient waking from sleep. Inside lay a vast underground city, tunnels of light and frozen bridges stretching into darkness. Machines slept in walls of ice, their surfaces marked with both alien and human designs. Blue energy flowed through transparent pipes like glowing rivers. Lyra whispered, "It's beautiful." "And terrifying," Ryan nodded. "It's a hybrid city. Humans started it, aliens finished it." As they walked deeper, they found large glass chambers, each holding something trapped inside. Frozen figures, not dead, not alive, suspended in light. Humans, aliens. Some looked peaceful, others looked like they were screaming. Lyra covered her mouth. "What is this place?" Ryan's jaw tightened. A lab. Maybe a refugee project. Maybe worse. Then they found something that made both of them stop. A small pod, half hidden behind a machine, glowing faintly with pink light. Lyra ran forward, pressing her hands against the glass. "Mina!" Inside, the little girl lay still, asleep but breathing. Tubes of light connected her to the wall, carrying energy into the deeper parts of the structure. Lyra sobbed. "She's alive." Ryan quickly scanned the system. "She's in stasis. Her life force is being used to stabilize this reactor." The data flashed on his visor. "Core failure imminent." He turned to Lyra. "If we pull her out now, this whole place could collapse." Lyra's voice trembled. "If we don't, she dies anyway." Ryan's mind raced. He looked at the structure, the same human technology he'd studied as a cadet. Old Terran energy systems, fused with alien biotech. And deep inside the code, a signature blinked. "Atlas Division, Earth Defense 2140, Ryan whispered. "We built this reactor to save this world long ago, but someone twisted it." Suddenly, the floor shook. A deep rumble filled the chamber. From the far end of the hall, glowing silver figures appeared. The traitors again, moving like shadows. Their leader stepped forward, eyes blazing like twin stars. "You were not meant to find this," it said. Ryan aimed his weapon. "You've turned a child into a battery. I'm ending this." The alien raised a hand. "She is saving your own creation, human. Without her, your reactor collapses. This world dies, and you with it." Lyra stepped in front of Ryan, trembling but fearless. "Then I'll die with her, but you don't get to own her life." The alien's silver eyes flickered. "You do not understand sacrifice," Ryan replied coldly. "You don't understand being human." Before the alien could react, he fired a plasma burst at the ceiling, causing an avalanche of ice to fall. "Run," he shouted. Lyra grabbed Mina's pod, and together they fled down the glowing corridor as the city shook around them. Lights flickered, alarms screamed, and the hum of ancient machines filled the air. Behind them, the alien's voice echoed through the tunnels. You cannot stop what has already begun. They reached a lift chamber just as the ice cracked open beneath their feet. Ryan slammed the control and the platform shot upward, carrying them back toward the surface. The sound of collapsing tunnels roared below. Lyra held Mina close, whispering, "Stay with me, my love. Please stay." Ryan looked down at the glowing reactor below them, a dying machine beating like a heart that refused to stop. "This planet isn't dying," he murmured. "It's trying to wake up." And as the lift broke through the ice, the first light of dawn spilled across the wasteland, cold, fragile, and full of promise. The world above was silent again, only wind, snow, and endless white. But beneath that frozen beauty, something ancient had begun to stir. The Atlas IX rested in a shallow valley, half covered by frost. Inside, Captain Ryan Hale worked quickly, setting up a power core to keep the ship alive. His armor was scratched, his breath visible in the cold air. Across from him, Lyra sat beside the small glass pod that held Mina, her daughter. The pod glowed softly, a heartbeat of pink light. Mina's small face looked peaceful, almost as if she were dreaming. But Ryan knew it wasn't sleep, it was stasis. She was caught between life and something else. Lyra's hand rested on the pod. "She's breathing," she whispered. "That means she's still fighting." Ryan checked the readings. "Her vitals are stable for now." But whatever that machine was doing to her, it left a signal. Lyra looked up. "A signal?" Ryan nodded. "It's calling to something below us." He showed her the scanner, faint pulses rising from the glacier beneath the ship. "The energy's spreading. If the reactor down there wakes up again, it won't stop. It'll melt everything, and then refreeze the planet in one massive surge." Lyra's eyes widened. "So the world dies either way?" Ryan sighed. "Unless we shut it down from inside." There was silence. Only the hum of the ship and the wind outside. Then Lyra spoke quietly, her voice trembling but strong. "Then we go back down." Ryan looked at her for a long moment. "You don't have to come this time." Lyra shook her head. "Yes, I do. If I lose her again, I won't survive it. And if this world dies because of us, I have to see it with my own eyes." Ryan hesitated, but he saw the fire in her. The same fire he'd seen in every human who refused to give up. He gave a small nod. "All right, let's finish this." They suited up and descended once more into the heart of the ice. The tunnels had changed. The walls pulsed with blue light, veins of energy crawling upward like roots. The deeper they went, the warmer it became, until frost turned into mist and mist into water dripping from melting ceilings. Ryan scanned the readings. "Energy's off the charts. The reactor's alive again." Lyra walked beside him, clutching her weapon. "I can feel it," she whispered. "The air, it's breathing." They reached a vast opening in a chamber so large it seemed endless. Ice pillars rose like glass towers, and in the center stood a massive machine shaped like a heart, glowing, trembling, alive. Ryan's voice was low. "This is it." The chamber. The machine pulsed slowly, and every pulse sent waves of light crawling through the ice. Inside its core, something shimmered, a human silhouette. Lyra gasped. "Is that—" Ryan raised his scanner. The reading made his stomach drop. "That's not your daughter. That's human DNA, but ancient, from before the Frontier War." As they approached, the figure's face became clear. A woman, eyes closed, floating in light. Her body fused into the reactor. Her hair drifted like silver threads. She wasn't alive, but she wasn't gone either. Lyra's voice trembled. "Who is she?" Ryan swallowed hard. "Commander Alice Varen. She was one of the last human engineers to build these reactors. She became part of it." Lyra's hand covered her mouth. "She sacrificed herself to keep the world alive." Ryan nodded. "That's what humans do. We save what we can, even when it costs everything." A low hum filled the chamber. The ground shook. From the shadows, the traitors emerged, their silver bodies reflecting the reactor's light. The leader stepped forward, his eyes burning like blue fire. "You return again," he said calmly, even knowing the truth. Ryan pointed his blaster. "You're killing her, both of them." The alien tilted its head. "No, we are continuing her purpose. The human child carries the same energy, pure, untamed. The reactor chose her." Lyra shouted, "She's a child, not a sacrifice." The alien's voice grew colder. "Sacrifice is the only reason you exist. The one in the core gave her body for this world. Will you deny her legacy?" Ryan clenched his jaw. We honor sacrifice by ending the suffering, not repeating it. Without warning, he fired. The blast hit the ground near the reactor, throwing up shards of ice. Alarms screamed, and the entire chamber began to tremble. The alien guards moved forward, their weapons glowing. Lyra took cover behind a crystal pillar, firing at the creatures. Her aim was shaky, but her rage gave her strength. "Ryan, go! Get to the reactor!" Ryan sprinted toward the core, the air crackling around him. He climbed the steps leading to the central control node, sparks flying with every step. His visor displayed a warning. System locked. Human override required. He pressed his hand to the console. The system scanned his DNA, and the voice of Commander Alice echoed softly through the chamber. "Captain Hale, Atlas protocol engaged. Do you wish to terminate Project Haven?" Ryan froze. Her voice, calm, human, and heartbreakingly familiar, echoed through the ice. "Yes," he whispered. "End it." The reactor's light dimmed slightly. The alien screamed, rushing forward. The leader roared, "You will destroy us all." Lyra ran to Ryan's side, firing until her weapon overheated. "Do it," she shouted. "End it now." Ryan looked at her, then at the human figure in the core. He whispered, "Forgive me," and slammed his palm down. A blinding light filled the chamber. The ice cracked and the reactor's pulse became a roar. The alien leader fell to his knees, his silver skin melting into light. "You fools!" Ryan grabbed Lyra's hand. "Run!" They sprinted toward the tunnel as the walls collapsed. Blue fire swallowed everything behind them. The reactor screamed like a dying star, then went silent. Moments later, the Atlas 9 shook as the ground erupted below it. The entire glacier cracked open, sending waves of light into the sky. Inside the ship, the pod containing Mina glowed brighter than ever. Her eyes fluttered open. "Mama," she whispered. Lyra cried out, pulling her daughter into her arms. "I'm here, my love. I'm here." Ryan stared out the window at the melting ice. "We did it," he said quietly. The frozen world was no longer white. Rivers of blue light ran across its surface, and a faint green shimmer danced above. Life was returning. Lyra looked at Ryan, her eyes full of tears. "You saved her," he shook his head. "No, she saved us." The storm had ended, but the sky still burned blue. Lightning danced across the horizon where the glacier had cracked open. The world was waking up. Rivers of melted ice shimmered, carrying light instead of water. The ancient reactor beneath the surface had fallen silent, or so they thought. Inside the Atlas 9, alarms flashed red. "Energy surge!" Captain Ryan Hale shouted as the reading spiked across his screen. "It's not shutting down, it's rebuilding itself." Lyra held her daughter Mina close, shielding her from the shaking walls. "I thought you stopped it." Ryan's jaw tightened. "I did, but it's adapting. Something's still alive down there." Through the window, they saw the ice crack open again. A column of blinding light shot into the air, and out of it rose shapes, and tall, silver, and furious. The traitors had survived. Their leader, his body half damaged and glowing like molten glass, lifted his gaze toward the sky. His voice echoed through the comms. "You destroyed our sanctuary, human. Now you will watch your own creation die." Ryan grabbed his rifle. "He's targeting the ship. We can't take off, and the thrusters are frozen." Lyra looked at him, fear in her eyes. "Then what do we do?" Ryan looked at Mina, still weak but alive, and said softly, "We fight." He stepped outside into the blinding snow. The cold bit into his skin through the cracked armor, but he didn't care. The silver figures advanced through the fog, their energy blades cutting through the air. Ryan raised his rifle. "Come on, then." The first alien lunged, a blur of light and motion. Ryan fired, the plasma blast tearing through the creature's chest. It fell, dissolving into steam. Two more came from the sides, their weapons slicing through the snow. Ryan ducked, rolled, and fired again, hitting one square in the head, but there were too many. They moved like shadows, silent, perfect, merciless. Inside the ship, Lyra watched through the window, trembling. "He can't fight them all." She looked down at Mina. "Stay here, my love," she whispered, then grabbed a weapon and ran out. Ryan turned just as she joined him, sliding behind a piece of fallen ice. "I told you to stay inside," he shouted. Lyra reloaded the rifle with shaking hands. "And leave you to die? Not a chance." Ryan gave a small, breathless laugh. "You really are human," she smiled faintly. That's what you said. Humans don't walk away. The alien leader stepped forward, towering above them. Half his face was shattered, revealing wires and glowing veins. His voice was cold and deep. You think you've won because your reactor sleeps? You've only silenced it. The child's energy will awaken it again, and then it will consume her. Ryan aimed his weapon. Not if I burn you first. The alien raised its hand and a wave of blue energy slammed into the ground, throwing Ryan backward. His weapon flew into the snow. Lyra screamed his name and fired wildly, hitting one of the alien soldiers. The others surrounded her instantly. The leader raised his staff. You humans are strange. You destroy and protect in the same breath. Lyra glared at him, refusing to move. That's called love. He tilted his head. A weakness. Ryan's voice came from behind him, quiet and fierce. No, it's our strength. Before the alien could turn, Ryan struck with a plasma blade, slicing through the creature's chest. The alien roared, its body cracking with light. It grabbed Ryan by the neck and lifted him. You cannot kill what is beyond death. Ryan gasped for air. Maybe not. But I can bury you. He jammed a power cell into the alien's chest and triggered it. The explosion sent a wave of light across the valley. Both Ryan and the alien vanished in the blast. Lyra screamed his name. The shockwave threw her to the ground. When the light faded, she crawled through the snow, coughing, crying, calling for him. Ryan, please. She found him lying near a crater, his armor broken, smoke rising from his chest plate. His breathing was shallow, but he was alive. Lyra pressed her hands to his wounds. Stay with me. He opened one eye, barely smiling. I told you. I don't walk away. Lyra's tears fell onto his armor. You saved us. Ryan looked up at the sky, at the faint green light spreading across it. No, she did. Inside the ship, the reactor signal flashed again, but this time it wasn't hostile. Mina had opened her eyes. The pod glowed with soft golden light, and the ship's systems powered up on their own. Outside, the snow began to melt around the wreck. The temperature rose, the ice cracking like glass. From the melted ground, plants began to grow, small, green, fragile leaves pushing through the frost. Lyra looked up, eyes wide. The world, it's healing. Ryan forced a weak laugh. Guess humans really do change everything. The wind softened. The surviving aliens, seeing the light, lowered their weapons. Their leader, or what was left of him, knelt in silence before fading completely into blue mist. Lyra leaned over Ryan, her voice trembling. Don't leave me now, he smiled faintly. Wouldn't dream of it. Hours later, the sky cleared. The air was warmer and the once dead landscape glowed with new life. The Atlas IX stood surrounded by mist and sunlight. Mina walked barefoot on the soft snow, touching the first flower that had bloomed in years. Lyra watched her with a smile, then turned to Ryan, now resting, bandaged but alive. She made it, she whispered. Ryan nodded weakly. Told you she would, humans. We don't give up. Lyra looked at him, eyes shining. No, we don't. Above them, the first sunrise broke through the clouds, golden light spilling over the thawing land. The war was over, but something greater had begun. In that frozen wasteland, a mother's love, a human's courage, and a child's spirit had rewritten the laws of an entire world. The first light of dawn touched the horizon, soft and gold. For the first time in generations, the frozen sky wasn't gray. It was alive. The storm clouds had drifted away, and the blue of a new morning spread across the land like a promise. The Atlas IX stood on a ridge of melting ice, its hull scarred but unbroken. Inside, the hum of the ship was steady again, calm, alive, almost peaceful. Lyra stood near the open ramp, the cold wind brushing her hair. In her arms, she held Mina, wrapped in a clean blanket, warm and safe. The child stirred, her small eyes opening to the light. Is it morning, Mama? Mina whispered softly. Lyra smiled through tears. Yes, my love. The morning came, and it stayed. The little girl reached out her hand, watching her breath mix with the warm air. It's not cold anymore, Lyra kissed her forehead. The world is waking up again. Behind them, Captain Ryan Hale stepped out of the ship, his steps slow but firm. His armor was cracked, his shoulder wrapped in bandages, yet his eyes were alive, tired but shining with quiet pride. He looked at the horizon. Rivers of melted ice flowed across the wasteland, carrying light like veins of gold. Strange flowers bloomed where snow had melted, their petals glowing faintly in the dawn. Ryan took a deep breath. "Smells like rain," he said softly. "Haven't smelled that in years." Lyra turned to him. "You should be resting," he smiled faintly. "Can't rest when the world's being reborn." Mina wriggled free from her mother's arms and walked carefully onto the soft snow. She bent down, touching a tiny green sprout breaking through the frost. Her eyes lit up. "Mama, look! It's growing." Lyra knelt beside her, tears shining. "Yes, my star. It's growing." Ryan watched them quietly, feeling something deep inside, and something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. A soft hum broke the silence. In the distance, faint shapes appeared on the horizon, the remaining traitors. But this time they didn't come as enemies. They moved slowly, their once silver armor now cracked and dull. The leader, or what was left of him, approached, his form flickering with fading energy. Lyra instinctively pulled Mina close, but Ryan raised a hand. "Wait!" The alien stopped a few meters away, his glowing eyes dim. He bowed his head, not in defeat but in acknowledgement. "Your world will live," he said quietly. His voice was weaker now, almost human. "The reactor has gone to sleep. The balance is restored." Ryan stepped forward. "And you?" The alien looked toward the sunrise. "We will fade. This world no longer needs us, but it will remember." Lyra frowned softly. "Remember what?" The alien turned his fading eyes toward Mina. "That life always finds a way." Then, like mist in sunlight, he dissolved, his body breaking into tiny blue sparks that drifted into the wind. The other traitors followed, their light scattering across the ice like stars returning to the sky. Lyra whispered, "They're gone." Ryan nodded slowly. "No, they're part of the planet now. Maybe that's what they were meant to be all along." The world was quiet again, but not dead. In the distance, rivers flowed freely. Ice cliffs collapsed into shining waterfalls. The air shimmered with warmth, and in every sound there was life. Ryan turned back toward the ship. "We'll need to rebuild the systems," he said, half smiling. "Maybe this planet can become something more. A home." Lyra looked at him, her voice soft. "You mean for humans?" He nodded. "For anyone who chooses life." Mina tugged at his coat. "Will you stay, Captain?" Ryan looked at her for a long moment, then crouched down so their eyes met. "What do you think, kid?" She grinned. "I think the world needs heroes." Ryan chuckled quietly. "Then I guess I'll stay." That night the stars came out, clear and bright, scattered across the black sky like memories of every soul that had ever lived there. The three of them sat near a small campfire made from scavenged metal and glowing fragments of the reactor. The flames burned blue and gold. Mina leaned against her mother's side. "Mama," she said sleepily, "is the bad storm gone forever?" Lyra brushed her hair gently. "Maybe not forever, my love, but now we know how to survive it." Ryan looked up at the stars. "You know," he said softly, "humans have a habit of leaving light wherever they go. Even in the darkest places." Lyra smiled. "Maybe that's why the universe keeps testing us, to see if we can shine again." Ryan's gaze softened as he watched the small girl sleeping peacefully between them. "We already are." When morning came again, the first true sun rose, a blazing golden light breaking over the icy mountains. The world glowed. Rivers shimmered like glass, winds carried warmth instead of cold, and the sound of life, faint but real, filled the air. Lyra stood with Mina in her arms, Ryan beside them. Together they watched the dawn stretch across the new land. This was no longer a wasteland. It was a beginning, and as the light reached the horizon, Ryan whispered, "We came to save one child, and ended up saving a world." The wind carried his words away, far across the thawing plains, past the melted glaciers, into the hearts of whatever beings might come next. Because somewhere deep under the ice, the reactor's final words still glowed faintly in human code. Hope restored. Humanity endures.